Good morning and welcome back to Broderland on this Friday morning. It's of course Mr. Brodeur's favorite day of the week, and it also should be yours because it's the end of week 4, which means we're coming up to the weekend. We're ready to wrap up week 4. We're on day 5, and let's talk about today's assignment so we can get things turned in and get a grade. So let's take a look. Today's lesson says we need to look up the distance of the Earth to the Moon, Earth to Mars, and your house to your dream vacation location. Once you find those distances, we need to write them down, change them into scientific notation, and then write them in ascending order, which means we got to write them from least to greatest. So let's jump over to my whiteboard. Let's take a look at our 3 distances we're looking at. So we got Earth to the Moon, we have Earth to Mars, and our dream vacation. Now, one thing is when you look up Earth to the Moon and Earth to Mars, what you might notice is yours might be a little bit different from mine depending on when you look these up. The reason why is because when Mars orbits the sun, sometimes it runs a little bit closer to Earth, sometimes a little bit further. And so because I'm doing maybe this video a couple days earlier than when you are doing this problem, that might be why ours don't line up. So just keep that in mind. Earth to the Moon right here, I have at the moment that it is 238,900 miles. Okay. Earth to Mars, currently right now, I have it at, they told me online that was 135.28 million miles away. Okay. Now, the only issue is I know when you look it up, it's going to say it like this. We cannot keep it in that notation because we need to make it look like a regular number like the Earth to the Moon. So in order to make this into a regular number or into a normal standard form, what we need to do is write it as 135 comma for the million part, 280,000. Usually it's like 2, 8, and then a 0 for the last 1,000, and then your zeros for your hundreds, tens, and ones place. So that's how I would write it right there. And then of course that is still in miles. And then the last part, dream vacation. My favorite dream vacation is Disney World, in case you haven't figured that out from my previous videos talking about Disney Plus and stuff. Now, when I looked up that, I looked at Waze, or you could look on Google Maps, or just Google it and see how far it is from your house, whatever your favorite vacation spot is. For me, Disney is 477 miles away from my house, so I'm going to write that down. And now I got my 3 distances. What I need to do is now write into scientific notation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do all 3 of them because I just want to show you one and let you guys try the rest. I'm going to do Earth to Mars because that is the biggest one, and I feel like this one will help answer all the other questions. First thing you want to do is you want to find where the decimal place is. Clearly, I don't see any visible decimals here. And also in the other ones, which means my decimal is all the way to the right. So I'm going to put little decimal points there. Now let's go back to Earth to Mars. What you want to do is you want to move the decimal place to where there is only one non-zero digit in front of the decimal. Well, for there to be only one non-zero digit in front of the decimal, I have to move it right here between 1 and 3 because that just gives me 1 in front of the decimal, which gives me that one non-zero digit. Now, the next thing is we got to count how many moves it takes to move that decimal. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8 moves right there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this now into my scientific notation. That's going to be 1.3528. Notice I stopped once I hit the zeros. Once you hit just zeros remaining, you do not need to write those. But any non-zero digits, you do need to write. So that's why I wrote all those. Now the last part of scientific notation, a lot of people might remember times 10 to some type of exponent. So you want your times 10 right there. The question is, what is your exponent? Well, we just counted 8 moves, so I'm going to put an 8 there. The issue is we got to determine, is this going to be a positive 8 or a negative 8? Since this is a large number, okay, and it didn't have any decimal places originally in standard form, this means that I am going to have a positive 8 because I need to multiply 10 8 times to get this scientific notation back into its standard form, back into the form that we're used to seeing it. If I made this a negative 8 right here, that means I would have to divide 10 to this number, and by dividing 10, we would actually make this number smaller to where you would have like a decimal, like 0.0000 and so on, 13528. Well, that's not what we want. Our number was not a decimal. Our number was in the millions. So that is why you want a positive 8 right there, okay? Because we are multiplying 8 tens to get this back into its standard form. And also you're going to try to get these back into scientific notation as well, and then place them in ascending order. Clearly, I would put my Disney World scientific notation answer first, then Earth to the Moon, and then Earth to Mars, because it goes from smallest to largest right there. So, I hope this helped answer your questions on how to approach Day 5, Week 4's assignment. But just let us know if you got any questions. Let your teachers know. We'll be glad to answer. And make sure, guys, turn in these assignments once you're done so we can knock out and get a grade in. But until next time, Brodeur out. Peace.